प्रभु तुम बनो सारथी मेरे इस जीवन रथ के तुम बनो सारथी हे प्रभु।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। We are today starting the 5th chapter of the book, The Happiness Guarantee, the Philosophy of Happiness. This chapter is about governing the mind. When we discuss unselfishness, we're talking about purification of the mind. In governance, we're talking about governing the mind. So this, there's like a love story going on between us and happiness in this book. And this is where it says, marry me, happiness. Marry me in the sense, now we will always be together. So why are we always going to be together? Because as long as your head is on your shoulders, you are guaranteed that you will always be in a calm, poised, blissful, happy state. So let us see. Let us read it together. I hope you have followed the line of thought so far. First, we found out why we are not finding happiness. Okay, so it's just a sort of a guess. Then we say, if I have to court you, if I have to find you, what do I have to do? So that's the chapter on desires, the relationship between desires and happiness. Once you get to know that desireless state, then you are, happiness. That's an easy thing. But now we're not in that desireless state. So what are we to do now? To be happy and to reach ultimate happiness. That means happiness today and happiness forever. What are we supposed to do? So chapter 4 spoke about unselfishness, the purification of the mind. And chapter 5, which we're doing now, is talking about governance of the mind. So this is our flow of thought in the book. And the 6th chapter, of course, is the sort of, what should I say, an end note saying that don't be struggling so much to do all these various things that you forgot that you have to be happy at all. You put so much pressure on yourself, I have to be happy, I have to be happy, that now you become miserable because you're trying to be happy. So don't put that kind of pressure. That's the last one, which is the honeymoon period. This one is now we are going to marry happiness, and next will be honeymoon period. You have to enjoy it also. So we begin with a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Raga Tvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyescharan Atma Vashair Vidheyatma Prasadam Madhikachat. How do you get prasadam? How do you get happiness? Because disunited from likes and dislikes, moving among the sense objects with the senses governed, the self-controlled one attains peace. So what is the Bhagavad Gita's input into happiness is the self-controlled one attains peace. If you think that there is any condition under which you will lack self-control and be happy, ain't happening, buddy, ain't happening. If you cannot have self-control, you cannot have happiness. It is that simple. And if you have self-control, you will have happiness. सीधी सी बात है. Nothing very complicated. The more you have governance over yourself, the more you're going to be a happy person. Deepak Sethi, already a question. What did I say? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I have just joined in and I didn't know whether the question answer session is over on the previous chapter. And sorry to be butting in. I had a couple of questions. I was wondering that you started off with the new chapter. Is the window still open to ask some questions?
Okay, fine.
No, sorry. What did you debar questions at the meeting? Did you say no questions at this stage or something?
No, I started the chapter. Nobody had raised a hand, so I started. Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Janki ji, a couple of questions and a series there. So there is selfishness where, broadly speaking, it is me above you at your cost. And it is unselfishness, which is that, you above me, and I'm willing to make that little sacrifice, etc., for your happiness, even if mine is a little bit compromised, etc. Now, my question is that between these two states, what is that state called where you are neither selfish to the extent you are harming somebody else's interest, nor are you going, to help somebody at a minor, at a reasonable expense, let's say. You said don't torture yourself beyond a point. So the question is, what is that in between state called? Is it self-interest, self-care, self-centered? What is that state which is in between?
Selfishness.
Sorry?
Selfishness.
Selfishness. So it is either unselfish or it is selfishness.
Yeah, I mean, it is graded, of course. There is a gradation in unselfishness, but there is selfishness. See, you're saying that here's a man, he's looking after his wife and children. He's not troubling anybody. He's not robbing, stealing, cheating. He's not doing kala dhanda. Why? What's so wrong about it? Why are you giving him some?
Or would you say that he's selfish? I mean, that's the question. Wrong,
Yeah,
wrong or right? Yeah.
selfish. Yeah, totally.
No, that was my question. So your answer is very straight. It is selfish. I'm not, yeah.
No, but I'm justifying the answer. What is the use of
Yeah.
answer?
Sure.
So why is it that is called selfish? Because when you're looking at this guy, let's say he's a corporate executive, he's not doing any cheating in his work. He's earning his money, he's enjoying his money. And he's taking care of his family's education, whatever. What's selfish? What's negative? What's selfish about it is the reason we are seeing this as very acceptable behavior. It's very socially acceptable behavior. It is acceptable because it appears acceptable because nothing has happened so far to interrupt his processes of doing that. But the moment something happens, somebody does something to his family, does something to his job, his selfishness will be seen like that. So the reason most of us are good is because nothing untoward has happened. But let something appear to threaten us, and then we will see how we behave. So this angel who is looking after his family will immediately turn into a devil when the interests of his family or himself look like they are going to be compromised. So then you will see that. So basically, what happens is when it's selfish, it's me against the world, manifest or unmanifest. When it's unselfish, it is us against the world. This is going to happen at every level, even a patriot. Okay, so it's us as a country against the rest of the world. So let something happen to interfere with the well-being of my country. This angel turns into a devil. So at every stage that will happen. Whatever you feel is my circle. Could be just myself, could be my family, could be my community, could be my nation. At any stage, it's world minus that circle. But it's not manifest because nothing has happened. No circumstance has taken place.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's clear. In the conclusion, the first sentence, the powerful one, it says, a pure mind is a happy mind. Purity is unselfishness, which means an unselfish mind is a happy mind. Yeah. Yeah. Can you just elaborate on this one simple sentence in terms of what all are the implications of this? So
that's just a summary of the chapter. The more unselfish you are, the more happy you are. In fact, all your agitation is only when your mind comes back to yourself. Think of any time you've been agitated, mind is on yourself. On yourself means, oh, he's so mean to me, so you say, no, I'm thinking of him, thinking of him with reference to yourself. So all agitation is when your mind comes back to yourself. All peace is when your mind is not on yourself. So right now in class, when your mind is not thinking about yourself, perfectly happy. The moment you start thinking, what will people think about me? Or am I making sense? Or am I taking too much time? Whatever you think, but the mind has come back to yourself, agitation will start.
this by itself is our experience and it makes sense. Yeah. So why is it that it is so difficult to be unselfish? Meaning, why is it that the normal default behavior, despite the fact that selfishness is equal to agitation, is actually being selfish and not being unselfish?
Because of the absence of the intellect, you can't see 2 steps ahead. Intellect will see, if I do this now, this is what will happen. Intellect cannot see that, so then the mind goes by instant, whatever is instantly pleasurable. If I can shout at you right now, I'm getting irritated and I can shout at you, I'll be very pleased with myself. I mean, I've offloaded all my rubbish on somebody. So I'm very happy. Now that person will get irritated and then he will offload his stuff on me, is something I'm not even conceiving at the moment. I'm just doing whatever gave me pleasure right now. Why do families fight all the time? Well, what's the quarrel within the family? Jo man mein aaye bolo, without even the minimum filtration of, sorry, Wendy, say whatever comes to your mind without even the minimum filtration of, if I say this, what effect will it have on the other person? Not even like what should I say, an excuse of filtration, nothing, just, in my heart and in my mind, on my tongue, straight.
On my tongue. Yeah.
Yes, on my tongue. So then they keep fighting.
So basically, it's because it's mind driven and the intellect does not see the consequences. It goes for instant gratification.
There's no and. There's no and. It is mind driven because the intellect is not seeing further.
Because the intellect is
not seeing, it's not functional. It's like you have 2 tires, only one is working. So it's not and, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So the intellect cannot really see the agitation and the long-term consequences, which is why we protect what we think is our self-interest, and therefore end up paying the price per se.
Yes. We
Okay.
can't see anything beyond. We're seeing only one step ahead.
Which is the instant gratification. I've said it, my chest is, kind of lighter, I've grabbed it, and I've had my sweet, or whatever it is that we are talking about. Okay. The first point that we are saying that a pure mind is a happy mind. And would that be because a pure mind, meaning unselfishness, is inversely proportional to desires. So by definition, a pure mind carries less desires, and therefore he would be potentially more happy, number one. Number two,
But where did you explain that? Why is he potentially more happy? Because the lesser the desires, the less is the chance of interruption.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Also, because the unselfish mind will have an expanded consciousness and therefore will entertain higher desires, and higher desires lead to higher happiness. I'm just checking out some of my thoughts for
That
you
was
to
the whole chapter. The whole chapter is on why is a pure mind going to be happier. That's what the chapter is about, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to cull out what are my takeaways, and I'm just checking them out with you, or taking the liberty to
Quality
check
of
out.
happiness improves as unselfishness increases.
Yeah. And higher happiness, finer meaning higher desires, finer desires, subtle desires. Is there any distinction between them, or are they synonyms?
Synonyms.
They're all synonyms.
Yes.
So the two reasons why an unselfish mind is a happy mind is because the number of desires are less, and because the desires are of a higher nature, and therefore, for one thing, because of their higher nature, their quantity is also less, but that is a correlation. But also because the quality of happiness that you get is higher, more sustainable, more deep, etc., etc.
Yeah. So because quantity is lower and quality is better.
Yeah. So it is because both quantity is lower and the quality is better. And that's why a pure mind is a happy mind.
I mean, we have the whole list, right? It's more available. There's less interruption. It's more available. The quality of the object has become subtler because the quality of your desire. You see, that whole list is given somewhere.
Right. So those are the dynamics through which it operates per se. Yeah, meaning that's how it manifests. That, you have more time for others, you're less centered on yourself, and that kind of a thing.
Or not have more time for others. Where is that?
Meaning on the problem, on the, otherwise you're so self-absorbed.
Yeah, I mean, you're self-absorbed is not giving an answer to the question. So a unselfish person, that's in the previous chapter, I think we did. Why is an unselfish person more happy? Where is it? Where is our Deep Raj? He's usually very good at locating where something lies. Do you remember Deep Raj? Here, I found it, page 77. Thus, an evolved person enjoys greater happiness. It is derived out of general happiness. He is generally happy because his desires are fewer. Subtler object. The quality of the object is also superior. Third, mind is available. So it can completely focus on and enjoy the object. You found it, page 77?
Yeah. I think this is a very composite answer to my question. That why is a unselfish mind a pure, happy mind?
The intellect is available. He doesn't get carried away, so his contact is regulated. And so no ill effects of his enjoyment.
Yeah, thank you for pointing it out. I'll kind of study it more closely now. Yeah.
And loss tolerance. You can handle because things go away.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing, the potential of sorrow. We said that selfishness brings about the potential of sorrow, and unselfishness is what actually if you can go back, since you have opened the book to page 102.
Can you show it on screen also? Okay. Good. Mahesh, are you the host today? Can you show 102 on the screen also?
Yeah, just the numbers aren't the same on Kindle's answer
So,
machine. Yeah.
okay, purity and the potential of sorrow. It's just at the beginning of chapter 4. It's like the
Yeah.
second page of chapter.
Second page, meaning the next page after the opening page.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're talking about, yeah, go a little bit further, Mahesh. Next page. Huh. No, no. You know where you were. There were two aspects of happiness. Huh. Right. On top of that. Yeah. Yeah. It says we automatically attribute happiness to one factor, that is what we have. Right? We neglect the other, who we are. Now, this is very important. Right? Within who we are lies the potential for sorrow, because if we are selfish, then that potential of sorrow comes in, which is why you explained that everything may be okay and in place, and yet if there is inherent selfishness, you will not be feeling happy, etc. Right? So this is really coming out of who we are, right? My point is that isn't the potential of sorrow also there in terms of what we have? So it is coming from both the factors, because if what we have is making me happy, like you said, that if that happiness fact, meaning if that possession goes away, or that possession is interrupted upon, then again there is a potential for sorrow. So my point is that potential of sorrow exists in both those aspects of what we have and who we are.
There is no potential of sorrow in what we have. It's only in who I am. Suppose there is a Buddha and he loses his kingdom, or a Rama and he loses his kingdom, not any petty thing which we will lose. Kingdom, whole thing gone. They're okay. So it's got nothing to do with loss of object. It's got to do with who I am. A person, I never forget this, many years ago, 40 years ago. Somebody told me about one rich man, very rich man. He took his jet and went to some island for a holiday. And then on that, this is when I just joined the academy course, and you know the so many foreigners come and they're chatting at the dining table, and they told me about this person. They were talking about this person. I've forgotten it for 40 years. He said they took a jet. He was not criticizing the person. He was only stating this incident. They took a jet. They went to some island somewhere, and they, a beautiful island. Everything is perfect. Everything is so wonderful. And then when they came for breakfast, the next morning they came for breakfast. That toast that came on the table was slightly more done than the gentleman wanted. He flung it and he said, "Forget it, I don't want to be here." And they all set off in their jet and left. So I never forgot this. It's like, you can go to the most beautiful place, everything there is perfect, but the toast is slightly burnt. And that's enough for you. That's the whole thing gone. I don't know if that incident has stayed like, on my memory. I don't know for what. I mean, can you believe it? For us, it'll be private jet, some beautiful island untouched, and some luxury resort, and wow, it's so beautiful. But the toast is a little burnt. So now we all have had burnt toast in our lives. Have we had so much reaction to this burnt toast? We have scraped off. We are an Indian. You just scrape off the burnt part and you eat it, because we will not throw it. Isn't it? All Indians will scrap off. I don't know. Wendy, will you do that? I don't know. How is it in the UK and Canada? Do you all throw your burnt toast away? We very, very carefully will scrape off the burnt part and then you will eat that toast, even if only half of it is left after all you have finished all your scraping. But is it enough for you to leave that most gorgeous island in the most gorgeous retreat? So, nothing to do with. For me, this one example has for my whole life been an example of.
But Janki ji,
um,
this example doesn't it show he had the jet, he was happy. He had the toast which was not burnt, he was happy. The moment he did not have the toast that he wanted, which is the unburnt toast, he was unhappy, which means that he lost what he had, which was the unburnt toast. Let's assume the first toast was good and he was smiling, and the second toast came slightly done. The moment that toast, he did not have that unburnt toast, he was unhappy. So therefore, the potential of sorrow also existed in what he had, which is the point I had earlier made.
No, there's no potential of sorrow in that unburnt toast. How many times in your
What
life
does the term potential of sorrow mean? Perhaps the definition may clear
your
this up. Yeah.
capacity to become unhappy because of something?
Yes, that
That is
definition
correct.
is aligned. Yeah.
So now
So
your capacity to become unhappy has got nothing to do with the toast. It has to do with who you are. Because that same toast will create so much unhappiness in X and nothing in Y.
yeah, that is so.
So whether the potential lies or not is not in the toast, but in who I am.
And how do we link this up with unselfishness in this case?
If your desires are so strong and so gross, then gross means selfish. You cannot tolerate anyone doing anything. Ravana lost his whole kingdom because, according to him, he had been insulted. He put his whole kingdom dav pe laga diya. Mad or something? Just shut up and don't take a quarrel with somebody like that. You take a quarrel with the Lord himself. Are you an off case? But he is. Whole Sone ki Lanka wiped out. Sone ki Lanka means the Lanka made of gold, wiped out. Could he look ahead? What am I doing? I'm going and kidnapping the Lord's consort. What was I thinking? Forget that. The Rama's army attacked. His brothers died, his sons died, his generals died. At least at that time, you should know that this is a madman's mad act. You can't stop. So, what is the quality of these gross desires? Is they can absolutely wipe you off. Then you start again next time. Better luck next time. Until you learn to elevate the personality to unselfishness. Anything is enough to knock you off. Anything. There are people who have lost a spouse or lost a job or lost, they didn't think people in their class liked them. It could be anything enough to just finish that person's life. And the tragedy of it, the whole tragedy is we are the self. You are the Lord Almighty and you are suffering for this. I say, I have to put up Vedanta University. Have to get people to understand that. That's why, even Vivekananda said, banish sorrow, get up, arise, uttishta parantapa. What is all this all about? Like, what are you all, sinking in sorrow for? That is what Krishna told Arjuna. What is this sorrow about? You sorrow for that which ought not to be sorrowed for. Every master is saying, and yet somehow we'll enter this great cave of sorrow and stay over there. The only way out, the only rope out is how much can I stop thinking of myself? Now, you can't stop thinking of yourself. So, but that's the key. How do you stop thinking of yourself? Think of something bigger, greater, vaster, whatever that be. Forget yourself in something. If we can do that, nobody can knock us down. So Vivekananda, if you remember, just his birthday, no? Conquer the mind, you've conquered the world. The potential of sorrow, only in your mind. No potential anywhere else. Now you're saying, no, but I see all these people collapsing because of these various things that happen to them. Some people have collapsed over health and wealth and relations and I don't know, whatever they collapse out of. None of those things hold a potential of sorrow, which they are experiencing. How do you catch hold of a person and say you're unhappy about this, but actually it's not that? How do you say this to them? They'll say I'm mad. What do you say? Isn't it? Suppose somebody has passed away and that person is miserable. Can you catch hold of that person and say you're not miserable because that person has passed away? It's in your own mind. You'll say you're mad. My mind was fine before the person passed away. He passed away and now I'm like this. It seems so logical, so obviously true. And yet it is completely wrong. Who are we to explain this to?
So how best to explain it to say that
You catch hold of a person before he's in that condition, put him through a Vedanta University course and make sure that he's learned this before he learns to say that. Because all nonsense is you learn, right? Just as you learn good things, you learn nonsense. So basically, every human being should grow up in a family of wise yogis. Now, how do we achieve this? If every one of us grew up in that environment that India had many, many centuries ago, where this was the accepted truth. Nobody was debating it. It's what you grew up with. It's what everybody knew. They knew that first you study, then you become a grahastha, then you are going to vanaprastha ashram, then you become a sannyasi. What are you doing that for? You're doing it for moksha. Eventually, everything is for moksha. Why do you need to have moksha? It was just common knowledge. How are you going to do that? You have to put it in the education system. That is what you have to grow up with. That should be the way you think. That's how all our art, our architecture, our epics, they all showed that. I don't know if we'll ever get a chance, but you just start reading the Ramayana. You feel virtuous just by reading it. Because everybody there is only virtuous. Then you see all these television serials. Everybody is bad. Like there's no good fellow there. You know, first in novels, many, many centuries ago, in the English novel at least, there was a good guy, there was a bad guy. Then came this whole theory, and the romantics. Romantics means the movement of romanticism. Good guy, bad guy. Then the good guy wins. All the stories went on. Then the realistic novelists came about who said, what is all this nonsense? That doesn't happen in life always. The good guy doesn't win. Be realistic. Show life as it is. And so it became more and more and more realistic, and nobody's noticing that all our literature is becoming realistic, showing life as it is, and all our lives are getting a little worse because we have nothing left showing us something better. Now, where do you start if you ask me? Like, I don't know. The only answer I have is start with Vedanta University. Then slowly, hopefully, that will grow. Now, that's an answer that I got. You may have another answer. It's a matter of opinion. This is the method I'm going to try. You can, of course, have your own, whatever your method. But this is one way of getting it eventually. It won't happen soon, getting it inside the education system. That means now there will be some parent who will also be bringing up their child like that. There will be some leader of industry who will run his industry like that. These are big dreams. We don't know if any of this will happen. But in answer to your question, this is what we're going to do. You're muted. You're muted.
I said for that, the Vedanta University is necessary but not sufficient. You need equally caliber teachers who really, really understand this to be able to impart that. I mean, say, I'm sorry, I'm not too sure as to what is the supply side, of,
My side is
yeah.
very good. The demand side, that's bad.
I know, right now. Okay, but I, we get the point there. Huh?
No, Swamiji has trained so
No,
many teachers. There's no dearth of teachers. The dearth is of students. There are more teachers than there are students currently.
no, I appreciate that, but really speaking, this is not to scratch your back or something, but I'm glad I asked this question or these questions because the answers that one gets from you, they really stick. I'm not too sure how many people are able to answer at that depth, etc. But that would be my wrong perception. So let's leave that out per se. Let's think of, yeah.
Yeah.
In any case, this should not preclude anything else. Yeah. So just to kind of close out on this, uh, this statement, who one is beginning to become very, very important because ultimately it boils down to who one is, right? So if you can just, for the sake of even at the cost of repetition, just repeat what exactly is meant by who one is, huh? And yeah, that would help to tie up the whole thing and get everybody to start marking ourselves and seeing the gaps and whatever it is and doing
Yeah.
something.
And you see this book, it was the first attempt. It failed because nobody read it. Okay, that was the
I think
first
this is the
one.
most outstanding book you've written, and also Happiness Guarantee. Yeah.
I've only written two, so so far at least. Next one is on relationships. Anyway, I don't know why I write. Nobody ever reads these books. But yeah, sorry, Deepraj. I know you have read it. You seem to be able to quote from it quite profusely. But what I mean is, it's not had any effect generally. Who one is the state of your mind and your intellect, and your life is never going to be beyond that. We started by correcting intellect, कोई फायदा ही नहीं होता. Okay, चलो यार, make the mind at least pure. I mean, what can you do? Keep talking about it. Somebody has to take it up and do it. Nobody can do this for anyone. Each person has to do it for themselves. So who one is can be described as what is the current level of your desires. Can be described as what is your character. Can be
What is your
character.
character? Yeah.
What is the level of your mind? What is the level of your intellect? All these are just synonymous terms because they all sort of the same thing.
Yeah. But in terms that we understand unambiguously, if I may say so. So it is talking about that who one is a function, which is what your book's proposition is, that it's a strong intellect and a pure mind, and that's what we need to work towards. And that's what your book leads us towards the final goal, to say that as work in process, this is what you need to do. So who one is actually what we are working on through this book. And it has both the mind and the intellect dimension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who am
So
I?
if we master the chapter on unselfishness and intellect, we would have made great strides. Mastered. The catchword is mastered.
If you master it, you'll reach realization.
Yeah. Meaning if we make significant progress.
Yes. Yeah. And each one have to just take on the responsibility and do it themselves because nobody's going to do it for you. How much of my time, energy effort is being directed to this? Like, first step is every morning I do it. Every morning. That is, every morning I study. There's no excuse to not study. That's number one. Number two is then I slowly introduce the other two yogas gradually. And this is my life. Like brushing is my life, or exercising is my life, or whatever it is. Talking to my family or eating my food is my life. This is my life, and it's the most important part of my life because every other thing is going to depend on this. But the strangest part is it is so difficult. I know a lady. I mean, you see it, and what do? There's a lady. She's a very poor lady. She's a widow. There is a member of her family who has, by running the business very well, much better than was run before him, supplied her with almost 1 crore of rupees. It's not a small amount. Over a period of time, over a year, 2, 3 years, he has supplied her this kind of money and improved her life. I mean, not he didn't do it to improve her life. He just ran the business so much and so well and gave her her share. Okay. What do you think would be this lady's reaction to this? You would think she'd say, thank you. I mean, you give me more money than I've seen in my life. Just because you happen to run a business that everybody else was just ignoring, and you happen to run it, and you're giving me my share. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. She abuses him, she criticizes him, she accuses him of not giving her enough money. So he got really mad. It was a small business, and nobody was bothered about it. He said, forget it, I don't want to listen to all this after giving her this money. He shut down. He shut down means it went back into cold storage as it was before. How stupid, I just say a person is poor. How stupid can you be? Like, what degree of stupidity makes you behave like this? Now, whatever money she must have got, I'm sure she has spent it. But if she has been wise in her investment, she'll still be okay. But I doubt very much, given how stupid this behavior is. I'm not even making up this story. It's a real thing. So people, their life can be no better than their mind and intellect. And you'll see this constantly. You may have advised somebody something in your life. I mean, anybody in class, or your senior people, you've advised people, and you know that if they did that thing, their life will get better. And then you find that they can't. You cannot execute your advice because that person cannot do this thing. That person has to change to be able to do that thing. You tell somebody, oh, you should just go and talk to that man confidently. He can't. Because that person can't do it. The person has to change to do it. How do you execute these things? It's very easy to tell somebody, but they can't. The person you are is the single most important thing in your life. And that's the only thing that we all neglect. We're never working to improve the person I am. Even those in Vedantam, for many people, it's like, oh, this is such nice things. And, what are you doing on a daily basis to improve the person you are? Because your life ain't going to be any better than that. Like this lady. I mean, as I watched this unfold, I'm completely confounded. Why would you behave like that? Say, no, in the past you did not give me this. Forget that past stupid thing. Because now you're getting so much. You just shut up and take what you're getting. No. Amazing. Truly amazing. But can you tell her that? Just say, just shut up and take. No, he's running the business. You're doing nothing. He's doing everything and he's giving you a share larger than his own. Because in terms of ownership, she is the largest shareholder. So she gets the largest share. He's doing all the work, he gets a small share. And she's criticizing. Madness is beyond compare. So he shut down. Naturally, who will do it, right? Who will work, create money for somebody, and then have this nonsense? Abused. abused. So the person you are is the single most important thing in your life. We want to be as rich as Bill Gates. We won't be because we are not that person.
And the person we are is defined by our intellect and by our mind in simple terms, right? And therefore that is
terms, how close are you to the self?
Yeah, and the path to that, the measurement to that is these two, which is anyway the crux of the book also, that these are the only two prescriptions that you write out, you know.
I'll tell you a secret. All the three books are the same thing. That first book is also that, second one is also that, and relationships is also that.
But
Don't
Janki
tell
ji,
anyone, but
how can it be different? If it is the truth, it has to be the same. No?
yeah, I know. But somebody
Yeah.
will, if they read it carefully, they say, why are you writing book after book saying exactly the same thing?
Yeah, you have, yeah, fair enough.
But don't tell anyone. It's just a secret between us.
Yeah. And I think the challenge really comes in because we are born because of our desires,
Mm.
and meaning that's what makes us appear because of ignorance or whatever. And the desires necessarily make us think of ourselves. You know, I'm going back to this very important statement that you said that, you know, the whole crux of this chapter, you may take some water.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the whole crux of this chapter, the whole crux of the subject is don't think of yourself. I mean, say, what is self-realization? Don't think of yourself. Abase your ego. Eliminate it completely. And that's what reaches you. So this conundrum that you are born you're wired to think of yourself and protect your interests. You experience that because you know no better. So you go ahead in your life, and every time you are able to, quote unquote, protect your interests, and you think that you're protecting your interests, at least in the short term, because you don't look ahead by, you know, kind of going for instant gratification and, you know, by being selfish, if I may use a strong term. And then the route is totally contra, that you have to now go from thinking of yourself to thinking of anything but yourself. Right?
Yes. That's how
So
it
that is what is the challenge, which is why it doesn't happen despite so many teachers and so many teachings, etc. Because it just runs against the wiring to begin with. And one has to work on the wiring, because if you don't work, if you're not able to work on the wiring, or if the inputs, if whatever is being given to you, the knowledge, if it does not change the wiring, the progress is slow, marginal, or whatever it is, etc.
It's not there. It's like you're running the electricity, wiring is the same. It's short circuiting each time.
Yeah, meaning that is the extreme. I am giving us the benefit without कि थोड़ा तो थोड़ा progress है, but you're right. Essentially, that is what it is. And in any case, that is what it is in terms of the wider canvas.
And anyway, the most important thing is that we are not hardwired. That's not a Vedantic concept. We created that wiring and we will change that wiring.
Yeah. No, actually, you're right. In that sense, we are not hardwired, but we come with a certain wiring, and that wiring is the one that has to be changed. And that is where the challenge is, because it is not a question of changing the appliance or anything. It is actually changing the whole feed.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad. I was thinking there will be a plethora of questions, and even if I'm 1-2 minutes late, I'll be able to join in. But then I suddenly found you were in the other chapter. So I said, let me take this chance. So thank you for sparing the time.
Narendra Singh Negi.
Janki ma'am, Hariom. There's a saying, yoga karmasu kausalam. It is not skillness in one action, but in all actions. How does ideal bring about all-round development? Because the requirement of life is not a specialization in a particular thing, but specialization in general things.
If you agree with this, that this life is specialization generally, not in a particular thing, then I answer ideal is very easy, because the higher your ideal, the more aspects of your life come under governance. Now think, if you're working for your family's well-being, for instance, how many things do you have to cover that you manage to make it to work, make it back, manage your investments, speak reasonably sweetly to your wife, and children, and that much control you do, you're okay, you're happy in the family. Now suppose you're working for the nation. Okay, let's assume for argument's sake that Modi works for the nation. Now look at the amount of things he has to control. He can't say what he wants. He cannot. He has to go in front of camera. He has to present himself. He has to go to nations, different nations. He has a whole lot of other things that have to all be determined by the welfare of the nation. I'm not commenting on whether he's doing it or not doing it. I'm saying that for a person in that position, if he is working for the nation, imagine what all he will have to control. Okay, so the higher the ideal goes, the more generally covered your personality gets. Now, he cannot afford to behave in a foolish way with his wife or children, should he have them, because it'll come in the papers. He cannot afford to pass a comment on Donald Trump, it will come in the papers. He cannot afford to wear whatever he wants because everybody's going to talk about whatever he wears. So everything will be decided by welfare of the nation. So the higher the ideal, the more general control becomes necessary. Now imagine if you're working for realization. Every single thing will have to be controlled. You can't afford, you can't do anything. You can't do anything means everything is directed towards that one goal. So if you're accepting the preliminary concept that it is the general and not specific, then that's the best way to explain this.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Bharat, when desires are so gross, throwing burnt toast, the interruption by the world would be the highest, leading to a more intolerant personality. That's correct. Does this perpetuate a vicious cycle leading to a complete downfall? Yes, it does. Very, very difficult for people who are in that state to recognize it and get out. And what we need to learn from that is that's our state. That's what we don't get. We are in this vicious, what is it? What did you call? Vicious cycle leading to complete downfall. We are here because we can't see it. We can see it in others. Incredibly difficult to see it in yourself. But the fact is, we are all somewhere. And we are stuck there. Even our Vedanta study sometimes is nothing but an indication of our stagnation. Because we're doing it, we enjoy it. That's it. Where is the pain? Where is the effort? Where is the push? Even our discipline can be stagnation. So when desires are so gross, that's all of us. Every single one of us in this class, including the speaker. They're all stuck. Can't see it. Just can't see it. So easy to see it for every other human being you can look at and understand. But your own self, imagine that. It's like that. Suppose there is a surgeon. Okay, he's a heart surgeon. And he can cure everybody's heart. He can see what's wrong with it and he can do the surgery and cure it. But the only person whose heart he cannot cure is
His own.
his own. That is our condition. We can see everything and we have advice also for everybody. But we cannot see and contain ours. We are all stuck. You say, no, I'm not stuck. I'm working very hard. Please take it for granted that we're stuck because there's only one person who's not stuck. Who is that person?
Self-realized.
What? You said it so fast, I couldn't hear. Self-realized. Can you say that? No? Correct. He's the only one who's made the grade. The rest of us are all foolish and hanging around doing stupid stuff. So, Answer to your question, Bharat, yes. Elaboration on your question, in another man's fate, I weep my own. Yeah, people are mad, and I'm even madder. Like a surgeon who can cure everybody's heart ailment, but his own heart ailment. That is our condition. Every human being on the surface of this earth, except for one exception. Wherever that Mahanubhava is, wherever that great soul is. Okay? Bharat, if you're saying something, I can't hear you. Okay. All right. So now, shall we go back to the text? Any other questions? Right. Let's go.
Janki ji, in case of
Yes.
this, like to ask this, in case of Cordelia, she what went wrong in her case, because she was so straightforward and she did not apply her intellect for the consequences. Generally, all of us function under some tendencies. If tendency is straightforward, it will operate with straightforwardness. So how is this? It leads to blindness. Does it lead to blindness? She was good. She was thinking good of her father. In spite of that, her intellect has failed.
Correct. And the consequences are there for everyone to see. You cannot say I was good. You will still be dead. Because being good is simply not enough. That is what this whole chapter is. That is what the Mahabharata is all about. This is why I said, be good, for heaven's sake. If you're not good, you're in trouble. But if you're just good, then be ready to be beaten. You can't do it in this world. If you do not use your head, you will get beaten up. It's simple. It's a law. You can't change it, and I can't change it. That's what this next chapter is about. Where is Cordelia? We did Cordelia somewhere in the book. Cordelia is there, no? Is it here? Somewhere it is. No matter how good you are, you simply cannot afford to act on that goodness. Just cannot afford it. And if you do, भुगत लो, मैं क्या करूं? Don't look so sad. It's not such a lost hope. We can all function on our intellect.
So the intellect should be able to judge our tendencies and then guide the tendencies in the right ways.
That's what happened to Yudhishthira. Very, very good person. Fantastic person. King of the land, spent all his life in the jungle. That's what Mahabharata is telling us, right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so now the most important aspect of your spiritual sadhana and your material life is how much can the intellect be applied to your action. If you don't do this, you can't have good results. Because most people don't do it, the belief is goodness causes trouble. But as we studied in the previous chapter, it is not the goodness that causes trouble, it is the stupidity that causes trouble. Your goodness actually saves you from the stupidity that your goodness has made you do. You get away sometimes by doing silly, even if you're doing silly things. Please understand the causal relationships here. Very important. Your goodness can get you into trouble. Your goodness also serves as a method of protecting you. Now, if you used your intellect for a negative cause, you use your intellect all you want, you will still be defeated. But if you do it both, which is what we're supposed to do, mind and intellect, you're the vanquer de la terra. You are the conqueror of the world. Okay, so Bharat has announcements for us.
Hari Om, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Reminder for no class next Friday, as we'll be having the Basant Panchami Puja at the campus. Those of you who can still join us, please do join us. And those who can't make it can have a small group discussion. Thank you.
So who will run the group discussion? Deepraj?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so basically you start it, explain the rules, and if there are enough people, break out groups. If not, one group, normal rules. Okay, so all those who can come to the plot next Friday, please do. Those who can't, please do your GD. Don't take it as a holiday. It's Basant Panchami, day of Saraswati. Please do Saraswati Vandana, the true Saraswati Vandana, which is study. Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.
Hey, okay.
Harry, Jankiji, thank you. Thank you, everyone.